Hello, so we're going to be going over a medium-term plan for the implementation and desired outcomes of a module of work in resistant materials. Hi there everyone, thank you for being here. So what I'm going to be sharing with you is the design and technology sequence we're going to deliver in the spring term 2 across all 3 classes in year 4. So it's going to be a really exciting project, and all the pupils will design and build a trivia board game based on ancient Greece, complete with an interactive buzzer using a simple circuit. So we've really been pushing the necessity of revisiting what we've previously gone over with the children with the introduction of Flashback 4, etc. And this is no different. So the children already have some prior knowledge of ancient Greece because they studied it in autumn term, and they also have prior knowledge of circuits because they studied that in year 3 science. So this is the knowledge that we want to revisit. I want to start with the bigger picture by stating that design technology isn't just making things. It's all about function, and that's maybe what separates DT from art and design. So as Archer 2012 explains, DT is where pupils use creativity and imagination to solve real-world problems. It brings together practical skills, design thinking, and critical reflection. And it's a subject where failure is seen as an important part of the process, and that's crucial for building resilience and independence. And that also relates to the core values of the school. So what we really want from this is for the children to understand the whole process from start to finish, or of envisioning a product and seeing it through to creation with all the trials and tribulations that come with it. So why do we teach DT? So DT gives pupils the opportunity to think creatively, practically and critically about the world around them. Benson, 2017, talks about how DT is applied creativity, where ideas are not just imagined but realised through making. In this unit, children won't be just revisiting what they have learned about ancient Greece. They'll be designing games for the next cohort of year 4s, so that when they come to study ancient Greece, they'll have a functional trivia board game for teachers and children to use. Something that's going to help consolidate their knowledge at the time, and then they'll come to make, if this is successful, they'll come to make trivia board games for the next cohort after them. So it all fits beautifully with Britain 2014's idea of global citizenship. We want pupils to understand how their products are designed to solve problems for people everywhere. So there'll be a functional product that will help teachers and students to bring a great deal of pride to the makers. Okay. The sequence is carefully linked to the National Curriculum 2013. So over the 6 lessons, pupils will investigate and evaluate existing board games, learn how simple electrical circuits work, something they studied in year 6 year 3 science. They'll develop their measuring, cutting, joining and finishing skills. They will collaboratively design a working game board. They'll build a functional buzzer system for correct answers, incorrect answers. They'll critically evaluate their design against success criteria that we together create at the start of the sequence. So Archer 2017 stresses the importance of having a clear starting point to inspire creativity. In our case, that clear starting point is ancient Greece. It provides a brilliant hook for knowledge integration and engagement. The children really enjoyed that module and retained a lot of the knowledge. It's also a good opportunity to revisit a few things like the distinction between history and myth, and that's something that can be integrated into the trivia aspect. So, how are we going to structure these effective lessons? Hope 2018 reminds us that an effective DT lesson is a balance of explicit skill teaching such as safe use of saws and joining, split pins or simple circuit components. It's the opportunities for creative decision making, such as designing their own question categories and the layout of their boards. We also want to build in lots of opportunities for exploratory talk. It's really integral that our young people learn how to work together. So to listen to the ideas of others and to articulate their own ideas in a calm and confident manner. It's important that if your idea isn't the one chosen by the group, you have the resilience to contribute and have a positive attitude towards making the board game still. So these are some issues that have come up in the classes recently, and that's something that we're going to work on. So this is a great opportunity to work on that. As COLFA 2017 advocates, allowing children to bounce ideas around their groups and problem solve collaboratively. That's what it's all about. They're going to be working in groups of 4 or 5 to build a board game. Each lesson has been designed to follow a model of investigate, design, make, evaluate, to ensure pupils move purposely through the design process. As teachers, there are some key decisions we'll need to keep in mind throughout. So we need to think about what materials we're going to use. I've managed to order all new materials for the circuits. I've ordered them from Amazon, and we do still need to test them all before using them, just to make sure there's no issues. We need to make sure there's not like wires that need to be moved around and held in a certain place, and that all the batteries are working. We all need to make sure that the electrical components are simple and safe. We need to think about the group dynamics, so carefully grouping pupils into mixed ability teams so that they can support each other. We only have a couple of support staff between the 3 classes, and we may be a bit stretched because when we're using the hot glue guns, that needs to be done by an adult. All the equipment needs to be talked through at the front of the class, and we will have slides to accompany that. So building on that, how we've sequenced the skill progression, the sequence of lesson plans has been carefully scaffolded, so all the technical skills we need to be modelling, using Rosenstein's principles to build confidence. So we'll be acting as the more knowledgeable other. We will, for the circuits and the joins, there'll be a PowerPoint to go through step by step. So we'll do one step at a time, we'll pause, we'll have the slide on there to help support, and then hopefully we'll get that done safely and quickly, and they can have a bit more time for the decorating. Building on that, we also want creative freedom. So we want to be giving the children enough structure so that they all feel secure, but we also need to make sure that there's enough freedom for them to be genuinely creative. It's the freedom within the framework, as Clubwich said in 2017. So what we don't want is to end up with 15 identical board games, but we do all want them to be functional and working. So whilst we're giving lots of supports around the technical skills, we have a lot of freedom around the aesthetic. We'll also need to address some misconceptions as we go. So circuits aren't magic. Pupils often think they work flowing through the board magically, so we'll spend time explaining just how circuits work, and that can be done as a group discussion. The other misconception is that DT isn't just making. It's important to reiterate and reinforce that there needs to be functionality. It's not about just creating something pretty, it needs to work. Failure is normal. So, as Ray 2014 highlights, children can sometimes fear getting it wrong. We'll embed a growth mindset, keeping in mind the core values of the school. We need to celebrate trial and error and how it's essential to good design. So what we're really going to reinforce is the reflection process. Children need to be able to evaluate what they could do better. One of the most important things we're looking at is the evaluation and the critical thought. According to the Design and Technology Association 2013, authentic DT assessment needs to focus on how well the product meets the intended purpose, not just how it looks. We're looking for a product that matches the design criteria that we created at the start of the sequence. We're looking for an appealing product, and we're observing the skills used to create it. We want everyone to be engaged, and if we're seeing individuals that aren't engaged, it may be the case that we just need to revisit the groupings, but that would be a last resort. We want children to be ambitious and to push themselves, And we use a mix of peer evaluation, so we'll put STEM sentences out. For example, I think your game could be improved by, what I liked about your game was, and they'll write some sentences about one other group. They'll also use self-assessment strategies, and the evaluation at the end will be marked in the books. So the evidence that the pupils' learning will be captured through multiple channels, so we can take photographs of the making process. We can use those for the newsletter and for evidence for learning. At the end of the sequence, we'll check through the books and we'll mark them for all the normal stuff, spelling, but also just to make sure that there's been an understanding. And some of the group discussions can be recorded as speech bubbles or short quotes and put on the design poster. So that's everything. I have an example here that you can explore. And if you have any questions or feedback, then do let me know. Thank you.